All right, hi everyone. I'm Sophie White. I'm here to talk today about Back on My Feet, which is an organization in Philly that's dedicated to combating homelessness through building community through running. So just to take a step back, I grew up in southern Maine, in South Berwick. No one has probably heard of it in this town, except for Alana. She's the one other person wearing Birkenstocks in this room. So today we biked over here and realized we were both wearing blue raincoats and Birkenstocks, and we matched exactly. So apparently that's what you do in Maine. So Maine is a wonderful state. It has a lot of moose and trees and beautiful mountains and oceans. It does not have a lot of diversity. It is the whitest state in the nation. I grew up in a high school where I knew one black family and one Asian family, and I can remember exactly who was in that family. So I came to Philly 2 years ago for work. It was definitely a shock in terms of a wonderful exposure to all of the diverse cultures that are in this city. As someone who grew up with one pizza place in my town and one Asian food restaurant, when someone asked me to go out and get pho, I was like, how do you even pronounce this word that's spelled P-H-O? I don't know what that is. So pretty soon after moving here, my roommate from Craigslist, she's wonderful, she introduced me to this group called Back on My Feet. And she told me originally that it was a group that encompassed running, building community, and volunteering. It was at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, which was a little bit of a stretch for me as someone who was able to sleep until 10, no problem. But I decided to try it out. I didn't really have any friends in Philly, so I was like, might as well try to make some friends and do something good. So I showed up to the first run and immediately was exposed to this really welcoming community, Kelsey over there being one of the people who's been involved in Back on My Feet forever. And this community of people giving you hugs and welcoming you, but also these people who've dealt with these issues throughout their lives that I had never been exposed to or had even imagined could have happened. So throughout my two and a half years at Back on My Feet, I've heard stories from people who have dealt with domestic abuse situations, gotten out of those, people who've dealt with drug addictions, overcome those, and now have relieved their stress through the power of running. We just had one member, Denny, on our team who is the most positive person you could ever imagine. He always greets everyone with a smile, sometimes has to go to work at 6:15, but will show up at 5:30 anyway to give everyone a hug and then go about his day just for fun. So that's the kind of people that come into this group. We've seen Anthony, who his guilty pleasure is mangoes. We gave him mangoes on the day he graduated because that was his thing, as someone who just ate like 6 pretzels and 2 beers, which is probably why I'm telling a story right now. I wish that was my guilty pleasure, but mangoes are great too. So this group really has changed lives. Anthony just ran a marathon. He ran the Philly Marathon this year after only being able to run less than 3 miles before, putting his hood up every morning, never talking to anyone, to chatting with people throughout this whole marathon, running by the home where he was for a while he was recovering from substance abuse, and pointing out the people on the steps saying, this was me a year ago. I was looking at people running this marathon saying, why would they ever run 26 miles? And now I'm doing it myself. So I could tell a lot of people's stories who have gone through this program, seen their lives change, and are truly back on their feet. I don't really feel like it's my place to tell their stories. If you ever want to come out on a 5:30 a.m. run, you are welcome to do that. They will definitely tell you it's not as hard after like 3 or 4 times, I promise. But one moment for me that just happened literally yesterday, so I'm a millennial and have a short attention span, so this is my only story I could think of today. So yesterday, I went to my Back on My Feet run, had an awesome time with Eddie. He's this member who always keeps his headphones in. He has confessed that he has some social anxiety yet he always runs with us. He always runs on the inside of the street so that if anything were to happen, he would be the one to get hit by a car, which is such a nice, chivalrous thing to do. Told me that the children's and women's shelter he works at has helped him regain his childhood that he actually never had. He started getting high at a young age and now is able to play football with kids at the childhood home. So I ran with Eddie yesterday, went to Starbucks afterwards. We wanted to go to a local coffee shop, but Starbucks is the only thing open at 6:15 a.m., so we go to Starbucks every Monday. Went to the Starbucks. Then I chatted with all of our volunteers and started running back to my house. It's kind of near that liquor store that's at 7th and South Street. Was running along the sidewalk and saw that the liquor store had their little ramp thing out to put wine into in the morning. Was making this split-second decision about if I wanted to kind of do like a limbo thing under the ramp and avoid the wine bottles, or if I should run around the truck. Decided I should run around the truck. And then as I was turning to see if there was any traffic, I saw this other guy running behind me. And after being at this wonderful back on my feet experience, the first thing I saw when I saw this guy behind me with the back on my feet shirt running was that I should give him a hug. So I turn around, see this guy I don't know, and then my first instinct is to give him a hug. So this guy I have never met in my life before looks at me and he's like, "Hey, I don't think I know you, but I think you're trying to give me a hug." So we have this like really awkward embrace on South Street in the middle of these cars. And then all of a sudden I'm like, "Hey, I'm Sophie." And he's like, "Hey, I'm Michael." And we keep running for a second. I go into my house. We never talk again. But the moral of my story is that volunteering brings this energy and compassion into you that makes you want to hug random people in the middle of the street.